It is 6 a.m. The alarm goes off and you feel that sinking feeling in your chest. The kind that says another day, another soul-crushing 9 to 5 shift. You then rub your eyes half awake, knowing damn well that the next few hours will feel like a blur of autonomy, meetings, and emails. The soul-sucking routine that millions of us have to do every single day. But for you, it's different. You're done pretending. If you are Gen Z and you're watching this, you are now a part of a generation that is done with 9 to 5 life. Gen Z is waking up to the reality that 9 to 5 lifestyle aren't just a way of life anymore. And instead, it is actually a way of survival that actually does not match up with their own life goals, their passions, or their values. But why? Why are we, the Gen Z generation, want to reject the way of the 9 to 5 life? And as many boomers and millennials have claimed, are we just inherently lazy as a whole generation? Why don't Gen Z want to work their 9 to 5 jobs anymore? Well, let's talk about that and make sure to stay until the very end for my answer. But before we dive into the data and the examples, let's first talk about our collective mindset as a whole generation. Now, I know that I can't speak for like the individual mindset, like what you're thinking and what you're not thinking, but I can confidently say that us Gen Z is known for at least challenging the status quo. We, as a whole generation, or at least most of us, we grew up with social media and the gig economy, and we are not afraid to call out the outdated traditions. And in this specific scenario, the 9 to 5 job. In a recent study, 60% of Gen Zs say that they find the traditional 9 to 5 job to be soul sucking. And you know, it might sound funny, but it's not a joke. It is a reality. And because of this leads to a much bigger shift that is currently happening right now. It leads us to the rise of FIRE. Chances are you have probably heard of the FIRE movement these past few years because Gen Z has embraced it in a big and massive way. FIRE stands for financial independence and retire early, and it has become the dream for many individuals in this generation. Over half of Gen Z, 57% to be exact, are aiming to join this movement either now or soon. Because, well, imagine leaving your 9 to 5 job to live life on your own terms. That's the main idea of this movement. People want financial freedom. Gen Zs nowadays really chase after this idea of getting rich quick, even though there's been many scams that have spawned from this very same idea. But people are still dreaming every single day because inflation is going up so high. Many Gen Zs are giving up. And, you know, we all just want to be rich right now. And that can lead to some very dumb financial situations. But hey, it can also lead to very good financial situations. In other words, it is not all just a dream. Many Gen Zs are willing to make radical lifestyle changes to make this dream, to turn this dream into a reality for themselves. They're actually willing to cut back on spendings and live frugally, work odd jobs, or even live with families. Essentially, they're willing to do whatever it takes to escape the traditional work grind. With the mindset and the trends amongst Gen Zs now established, let's now talk about the more specific details. Why are Gen Zs really quitting their jobs? Is it really just about more freedom and more flexibility? Or is there something deeper at play? Well, like I've said at the beginning, social media plays a huge role in shaping Gen Z into what they are today. Nearly 30% of Gen Zs claim that social media posts about people quitting their jobs from corporations have made them consider leaving their own corporate positions. And on top of this, we see these stories of financial independence, freelancing, and just overall entrepreneurial success all over social media, aka on platforms such as TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, MySpace, Bing. But it's not simply about leaving a job. Many Gen Zs are disillusioned by the idea of working in a corporate structure that doesn't align with their values. Many Gen Zs are finding that their 9-to-5 jobs are, in fact, dare I say it, not very meaningful. And I would dive deeper into that topic later on in the video. But first, now, here's where things get interesting. Remember when a 9-to-5 job could get you by? When a full-time gig with benefits and a steady paycheck was all you needed to cover car payments, rents, and maybe even a vacation and to live above your means. Well, nowadays, Gen Z is not seeing it that way anymore. In fact, many are realizing that in 2025, even the high six-figure salaries are not enough to keep up with the cost of living inflation that's exploding in 2025, especially in the major cities like New York City, Los Angeles, Chicago. If you live in one of those cities, good luck. Just pray and maybe then your cost of living will match with your salary. A staggering 61% of Gen Z say that their salaries have not kept up with the pace of rising cost of living, even though many of them earn six figures. The reality is, for many of us, is that in 2025, the cost of living has skyrocketed, while wages have either remained stagnant or have not kept up with inflation. Plain and simple. With inflation rates hovering about 5% nowadays, salaries are not just cutting it anymore. As a matter of fact, Gen Z is now facing a housing crisis where 40% of us are forced to live with a roommate, family, or even rely on financial support from our parents. And for those that are currently trying to break into the job market right now, nearly 36% of Gen Z say that they are struggling to land a corporate job in the first place, let alone land one that pays enough to even live. This can really take a toll on the average working Gen Z adult nowadays, which leads me to my next point, which is mental health and fulfillment. Mental health is another huge factor. Nearly half of Gen Z say that their 9-to-5 job negatively affect their mental well-being, whether it is long work hours, burnout, or feeling unfulfilled. The toll of a traditional office job is pushing them to look for something more. As a matter of fact, 47% of them say that they are unfulfilled with their work. And for many, it's not just about the job itself, but the lack of time to live life outside of their work. To them, it's like a constant balancing battle. And Gen Z is choosing to drop the balancing battle altogether, which leads me to a new concept that Gen Z have produced. Enter quiet quitting, a growing trend where employees do the bare minimum that's required of their job and nothing more. It is basically unofficial rebellion, and it's spreading fast. About 29% of Gen Zs admit to quiet quitting. What is absolutely wild is that those with higher salaries are more likely to do it. That is absolutely mind-blowing. If you are making high income and you know the reason why, well, feel free to let us know down in the comment, because I have no clue why. And so, having said all of that, let's now go back to the very beginning. Are we just lazy as a whole generation? Well, I mean, to answer this question, I get that I might come off as a little bit biased because I am a Gen Z, but the answer is no. I believe no. Like all of the other generation and almost every single person on the planet Earth, I love money, and most of all, I love financial stability and freedom. I could honestly care less about what my generation name is. But the reality is that nowadays jobs are in fact becoming less and less on track with the cost of living. Here's the cost of living and here is the pay from the average job, and it's only gonna keep progressing like that according to data, and that will affect all generations, but more specifically the younger generation, because we are starting in this worse financial climate with less money and more student debt. And so, to answer this video's big question, why don't us lazy Gen Zers want to work our 9-to-5 jobs anymore? Well, it is mostly because the concept of 9-to-5 jobs and the overall structure is failing us and screwing us currently, both financially and mentally. And so, as a result, we are currently trying our best to look for other alternatives, such as side hustle, entrepreneurial pursuits, starting a business, whatever, to keep us afloat financially and to make us happier. I could care less if a millennial sees me as lazy for not wanting to go into the coal mines and work 12-hour shifts for 6 days a week. I just want financial stability and freedoms, and I do not care how I get it, as long as I get it morally correct and legally. So, what do you think? Do you hate your 9-to-5 job as well? And do you believe that the 9-to-5 concept is dead? Feel free to drop your thoughts down below in the comments. And I wish you the very best. Anyways, that's about it.